So a trading card company is facing some intense scrutiny after word got out that this trading card company sent over what some people are describing as a group of intimidating thugs over to a man's house who inadvertently got his hands on street-dated Magic the Gathering cards a couple weeks early. My name's Greg Hoyt, and we're going to go ahead and dive into the story of a trading card company going rogue with intimidation tactics here on The Breakdown.
And I like good trees. Smoke so much weed you wouldn't believe. And I get more ass than a toilet seat. 3 to the 1, from the 1 to the 3.
Now, for those who are even just, remotely familiar with some of the practices associated with media releases, whether they be music, movies, comic books, trading cards, video games, whatever, these items have street dates, insofar that the item is already produced, ready to go, likely in a retailer's hands for days, if not maybe a couple of weeks, before the item is supposed to be available to the general public. But sometimes, when these items are shipped, distributed, whatever, they inadvertently fall into the public's hands. You may have one lucky person who winds up being able to purchase something that is street-dated. And for the record, if you, as a consumer, happen upon some street-dated items, you get something that, maybe was not supposed to be released to the public a week early or something like that, but you buy it from a retailer or authorized seller, whatever, or any other third party, as long as you were not involved in any kind of illegal activity to funnel it over in your direction, if you just bought it, whether you were oblivious to it or even knew that it was street dated, that's not illegal. So as it relates to the card game Magic the Gathering, one lucky YouTuber managed to get his hands on a few boxes of a street dated release a couple weeks early. And it sounds like it was all by happenstance. Apparently, he bought some cards, and whomever was selling the cards, like the dealer that he was working with, may have either inadvertently got their hands on the set and didn't know what they were selling, whatever the case may be. This lucky YouTuber earlier in April decided to show off the goods that he acquired because, when you get some street-dated items a little bit early, there are some folks, if it is a passionate topic, item, medium, they want to have the bragging rights. The YouTuber in question is a fellow from Florida by the name of Dan Cannon, which his YouTube channel is Old School MTG, which I'll be linking the channel in the description because he also talked about his experience with this whole thing, and I'm telling you, it is completely wild. But anyway, that was the fella in question who managed to get his hands on some Magic the Gathering cards, an expansion set that was not due to be released until May 12th. For the sake of context, at the time that Cannon placed this order with the card dealer he was working with, he believed that he was getting cards from the expansion set known as March of the Machine. However, when the cards came in and Cannon took a look at the spoils, he didn't get boxes of March of the Machine. He got the yet-to-be-released March of the Machine Aftermath series of cards, which, he got apparently a few boxes of that, wound up filming some YouTube videos of it, because why not? And, he was reasonably excited. He got something early. He got it legitimately, insofar as that he paid for it. He doesn't believe anything nefarious was going on behind the scenes with the card dealer, because in the video where he discusses this matter, he explains that the card dealer that he worked with wasn't even very privy. They were more of like a Pokemon card kind of person. And he also, pointed out, rightfully so, the names of these cards, March of Machine and March of Machine Aftermath, that is very, very, very closely related, and it's very easy for, if a retailer has them in their possession, to maybe accidentally, drop the ball and sell them to somebody. But therein lies the possibility that this could be a shipping/distribution screw-up from Wizards of the Coast, and that's really the most likely thing that occurred. But again, to reiterate, feeling pretty good about the situation, good old innocent Cannon decided to do some YouTube videos about him getting these Magic the Gathering cards a little bit early, doing an unboxing video showing what he got, and that appears to have been the start of all his trouble. Cannon claims that while he was shooting some videos on the morning of April 21st, he heard a knock at the door, and when he went to the door, he was greeted by some Pinkerton agents.
Right after I got done with the video, dogs started barking because somebody's knocking at the door. I come out and my wife's answering the door, and it was the Pinkertons. They come knocking on the door to recover the stolen product from Wizards of the Coast, which was the Marching Machine Aftermath stuff. It wasn't stolen product, just to clear the record. I no longer have the product. The Pinkertons took everything to take back to WotC, so they now are in possession of all the product. They counted every single card and every single booster pack. I don't even have any of the wrappers or anything like that left. They took the empty boxes, the empty packs, everything.
Now, you may be familiar with Pinkerton if it was discussed in any of your American history classes as a kid, or if you've even played the video game Red Dead Redemption 2. Pinkerton was originally founded as a private detective agency over 150 years ago. And the Pinkerton agents, they have quite a history when it comes to things like strike breaking and busting unions and organized labor movements. But the Pinkertons have a fairly grim history even recently, having been used by companies like Amazon and Starbucks to bust up their union efforts from the inside through the use of spies, and also the infamous 2020 incident in Denver, Colorado, where one of the Pinkertons contracted to serve as a local news crew muscle fatally shot a conservative demonstrator near Denver's Civic Center. So, for the sake of context, a literal trading card game company contracted out what some would describe in modern times as like a thug-for-hire type of company, sending these Pinkerton agents over to a random YouTuber's house in Florida to recover some Magic the Gathering cards that fell into the possession of a man who happened to get them a few weeks early. And it's not like Wizards of the Coast is denying what happened by any stretch of the imagination. They are confirming that the Pinkertons were involved in the recovery of what they called embargoed goods. As part of an investigation into the unauthorized distribution and disclosure of embargoed product, we repeatedly attempted to contact an individual who had received unreleased cards. After that outreach was unsuccessful, an investigator visited him and asked that he reach out to us as part of our investigation and return the embargoed product and packaging. He agreed to do both. The unreleased product will be replaced by us with the product he intended to purchase. We appreciate the individual's cooperation, and the investigation is ongoing. Now, the way that Wizards of the Coast describes this whole interaction makes it seem as though it is the most friendly and amicable thing that ever occurred when these Pinkerton folks showed up at this man's house in Florida. It was just nothing but good times. And while Conor, on his follow-up YouTube video, did note that it wasn't the most traumatic of experiences by any stretch of the imagination, he did note that the whole situation wound up making his wife so upset that she wound up crying. And apparently these Pinkerton folks, when they arrived at Conor's home, they were, alluding to the possibility that Conor could be facing jail or prison time if he didn't play ball and return these cards. And also, he was advised that he needed to delete those videos of him unboxing the cards. Now, Conor, in his own video, he does admit that he played ball when he was requested by, these Pinkerton folks. He admitted that, he wound up playing ball. He got on a follow-up call with Wizards of the Coast after he was given some contact information, and he did say that Wizards of the Coast seemed very apologetic when discussing the whole matter on the phone, and they did allude during that conversation that they would be replacing some product as a means to, kind of compensate him. Now, in Conor's original video detailing the whole thing, he implied that, he wasn't too upset by this and, making it seem like it was water under the bridge, but he has since released some follow-up videos detailing that after he learned a little bit more about what the Pinkertons actually did before arriving at his doorstep, he was just flabbergasted, because apparently some of these Pinkerton agents were going to Conor's neighbors under false pretenses, telling these neighbors that they needed to get in contact with Conor because they had some kind of nondescript appointment with them and that he missed the appointment. Like, just doing this really weird stuff. Again, all at the behest of Wizards of the Coast.
We went outside to do a couple things, and one of our neighbors came over. And come to find out, apparently Friday when the Pinkertons showed up here and we weren't home, they decided to take it upon themselves to go knocking door to door on our neighbors' freaking houses and harass our 70 and 80-year-old ladies next door, asking information about us, saying that they had an appointment with us that we were supposed to be here for and we didn't show up, and trying to kind of grill them for some information about us. And that is just way over the line. I mean, this whole thing's been over the line, but that is, come on. I mean, you're harassing my elderly neighbors too. You should not be going door to door to my neighbors' houses telling them my business or anybody else's business.
Like, the whole situation is just so damn goofy. Why did Wizards of the Coast think it was a bright idea, a smart idea from even a PR perspective, to see some random YouTuber who happened to acquire some cards early in, by all means, a legal manner? They see this and they decide, you know what we need to do? We need to send some private security team over to that man's house and recover the product because we can't have him getting things a couple weeks early. Like, that is just so crazy. Because again, with the Pinkertons, very not so great history, this could have been bad. I don't know, call me crazy, but I think sending out private security firms to recover some trading cards from your fans that were acquired legally, I think that's probably the dumbest thing you can do as a company. Not only dumb, but that's like patently insane. Like, how much ignorance does Wizards of the Coast have floating around at the top of the company where they can't even begin to entertain an iota of the possible liability and fallout from sending a private security firm to some random dude's home to pick up some cards that were legally purchased? Like, that could have gone wrong in 20, 30, 40, 50 different ways. And yet, Wizards of the Coast thought that was a good idea. I don't know. My suggestion would be to any other company that accidentally has some street-dated product fall into the hands of their fan base, whether it's a copy of a movie, CD, game, whatever, if it inadvertently falls into someone's hands a week or 2 weeks early, just chalk it up to an error on your end and do not send private security agents to your customers' homes. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much the long and short of it. Go ahead and share your thoughts in the comments section, whether you think Wizards of the Coast was just absolutely insane in their actions, whether you think that maybe there's more to the story that this Connor fella isn't sharing, whether you think that Wizard acted appropriately because perhaps they have a right to control the street date of their item. Whatever your thoughts are on the matter, go ahead and drop it in the comments section. Anyways, guys, that was the breakdown. Peace.